Hi, I'm Jorge Luis Moreno,
And I am Angel Silva.
and today we are discussing Black Mirror the first episode of the fourth season. That's why you tuned in, you saw it in the description, and that's why you're here. I'm just being redundant right now, but we are co-hosts.
Yes, we are.
We very much are, and this is our first podcast,
So bear with us.
it's very rough around the edges. I tried, I actually made an intro song, but I'm not sure how to put it in there. That's what she said, right?
Yeah. And I wasn't too happy with it, so we're gonna redo that one and revisit that.
Yeah, it's very. When I was making it at my house, it sounded like straight fire.
But it was not.
Listening to it back in front of people. Okay, this is why teachers at your school say read your paper to someone, because what you think sounds good, it's just not. It's just not.
Yes, most of the time it is trash.
It is very much trash. Okay, so hopefully next episode we will have some dope music to get you pumped for this discussion. And this is really all it is. It's just a conversation about the episode. I felt that the podcast world needed a podcast.
Oh, I see.
Okay. And I think since the Black Mirror series is so thought provoking, and there's so many layers to that honestly I felt that there was a niche in this market, so to speak, that hasn't been tapped, and we're trying to tap it right now.
That's what she said. Moving on.
Yeah, we're trying to tap it right now. And what was the name of the episode? Do you remember? I didn't catch it.
It was USS Callister.
Yeah, so the USS Callister, and so I think we should start off with a quick synopsis. What is it?
Synopsis.
Yeah, I didn't even hit it with any of those. Okay, a quick synopsis.
A quick synopsis of the show. So the episode was about this CTO that started a company with his friend, and the name of the company was Callister.
What is CTO?
Incorporated.
I'm not sure.
CTO, Chief Technical Officer.
Is that a real position, or is that just in the show?
No, yes, it's a real position.
So it usually comes along with the CFO and the CEO.
Right.
CTO?
If it's a technological company, then yes, he's the Chief Technology Officer. So they are the ones that understand the product, the hardware, or whatever,
Why do you think the CTO is not as prominent, more visible as a CEO? Even a CFO, isn't it a financial officer, right?
Yeah. Well, I think the CTO is very much within the company and helps run the ins and outs of the actual technology or whatever the product is. Whereas I think the CEO is meant to be sort of the face of the company and kind of help the world understand where the direction the company is going.
Oh, and I think they actually made a point to kind of when he said, "I'm the pretty face and he's the hardware," right?
Yeah,
remember that scene? Well,
yep. So the company is called Callister Incorporated, and they have developed a game called Infinity, which seems to be a infinite virtual reality world where you can control ships or something like that. And the way you get brought into the game is you have some sort of mental tapper, if you will,
a device, right?
a small device that you put on your temple, and then it brings you into the game and drops you in. And I'm not sure if it's a complete sensory overload or
they seem to go to sleep, right?
Right, and then when you put this on, you go into the game, your eyes become glassed over, and you're fully immersed in the game, right?
And that's how people get in there. It's called Infinity, yeah. So basically, yeah, it's a software, a game company, right, called Infinity, and so right away, so the opening scene is sort of like Star Trek. I'm not familiar with Star Trek, but I instantly picked up on that what's it called, that motif or something. And so yeah, it starts off with him being a hero, and sort of like in Black Mirror fashion, we're just kind of okay, what is going on, because it takes place in a futuristic world usually. And right away we learn that our hero, what was his name?
Robert Daly.
Yeah, Robert Daly So at first, you know, we kind of feel bad for the guy, right?
Yeah, yeah. You think he so after the initial of him portraying Captain Daly in this at the in the USS Callister, which is the name of the ship that he's controlling, he he comes back to reality, and you see him coming out of the elevator, and from the back also. You know, it's just like someone who is a nobody pretty much.
And this is a sort of archetype, right? I mean, I very much identified with this loser guy, you know, just like looking down, you know, what's it called, in the elevator, just miserable dude, right?
Yeah.
A very miserable guy. Keeps his head down, hesitant. He even called one of the interns. He called him Mister, right? He said Mr. Carter. And the guy's name was like Nate or whatever.
Well, no, I think he called him Helmsman Packer, and that's what he calls him in his game, right?
Okay.
So that's why he's like, oh, sorry, Nate Packer.
Was his name. Oh, so it's actually a reference. Okay, so yeah, it's just this, you know, I think this is gonna be very much like people are gonna resonate with it because it's very much taking like a shot at like the corporate world, right? Like,
right.
Soul sucking jobs but yeah, back to this character. I mean, you start off feeling bad for the guy because he's pretty much like being bullied, right?
Yeah. Even though he holds such a high position in the company.
Yeah, that's
and he's pretty much the reason the company exists because he developed the software and the technology for it.
Yeah, so he pretty much locks himself in his like office, and he's just a miserable guy. You know, we entered in the show in just another day in his life, and where the plot gets going is when Miss what's her name?
So there's a new employee that joins the company named Nanette, and she is like sort of infatuated with the guy, right? If that's the right word. She I guess sees him as a role model because she is also a computer science engineer, or she's portrayed that way. She gets hired in for engine architecture, and obviously she knows coding, she knows programming, and she really likes.
She idolizes
the company.
Robert Daly, right?
Right.
Daly.
Right. So she introduces herself because of how she views him as a role model for her.
Right, and I don't really think should we go through the whole thing, like the whole plot? Because I think the people listening right now, I mean, you guys know what happened, so.
Yeah. If you haven't seen the show, it's probably too late to say it. Spoiler alert. But
yeah, we kind of did like a late one, you know, but a whopping 8 minutes in, we.
Yeah, but that's okay. Okay, we'll move.
All right, so let's get to what's going on with this guy, man. I mean, this show is about this episode. I mean, pardon me, is submissive in the real world, and the darkest fantasies, you would say. Not the darkest, because that's actually interesting. Because in designing his own game, he could have very easily made it so like dark, right? Like he could have been able to rape in his fantasy, he could have been able to kill in his fantasy, but he kept actually the generals out, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So he created this special version of the game for himself, and no one else can see this version of the game. The rest of the world who plays the game cannot go in, as I said already a couple times in different ways. But moving on. So he themes it for after this Space Fleet show that he used to watch when he was a kid, and he is the captain of the USS Callister, which was the name of the ship that was in that show as well, the Space Fleet show. And like Jorge said, in contrary to his like very submissive lifestyle in the real world, he becomes this powerful individual who controls everything.
Yeah. So basically, at the bare bones, I would say that's like this is pretty much the skeleton of it. The driving force behind this is, I was gonna say like male fantasy, but it's not male fantasy. It's just how it's pretty much like dark thoughts versus your actual personality, right? So the anger and the emotions they hold inside,
right,
normally expressed just in thoughts, but this guy is so smart, he actually made a physical thing to represent his
right. Yeah.
his like what is it called, like I don't know if it's angst or like just a venue to just push everything out that he holds in every single day.
Right, and it's I thought it was interesting that he would like immediately go to join the game as he got home.
Oh,
he
yeah.
would almost do not he would do nothing else besides play the game. I think or it seems that way because he would get home, get on the game, and then at some point he would go to bed. We didn't actually see that in the show that at what point he would go to bed. He would just exit the game and it would be the next day. So directly, I guess, correlating with the fact that that would be all he would do outside of work.
So this is a real person that exists right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're all over the place. These are real people, and instead of being into some future game, they're like video game people.
Yeah,
or it doesn't necessarily even have to be video games. It could also be just surfing the web, right?
Yeah, I mean, you could come home and immediately immerse yourself in something that takes your mind off of work or makes you feel better about your life or the way you are, or I guess puts your mind off of it, right?
So that's just the human aspect to this. I mean, we still have not even touched the like philosophical questions that this thing asks. Like, are robots, are computer generations, if they are able to feel, like, should they be held to mercy and should, you know?
Yeah. So yeah, some background on that. So in the show, in his special modification of the game, he has created, I guess, clones of real people from his work, from his company that he hates or had an altercation with, or in some way or another, and you don't know this until he clones the new employee Nanette, that these characters on the ship are sentient code, right? So they know that they are alive, they are self-aware.
They know exactly what's going on. I'm not sure how they figured it out, but they know exactly that Robert took some of their DNA and they were put into the game.
Right, and they were called digital clones. I think that they know because he creates them with memory, so they awake with the memory
of the day, right?
Of the day that they were cloned, up until that day they were cloned from the DNA, which I didn't really fully understand because
I just thought of that right now.
It doesn't, I don't know if that makes any sense, that like,
does your DNA
does your DNA like hold memory up to a certain point? Like, if I spit right now, if somebody made a clone out of me, he would hold no more memory beyond this moment.
So wouldn't they be born? Because your DNA, it's always the same, right?
Yeah.
It's always the same. So wouldn't you just be like an amoeba or something? Like a tiny cell?
Well, I mean, he's recreating them through their genetic code, right?
So your genetic code changes as you grow? We're not scientists, people, at all. Well, you actually are.
Yeah. Well, I have an engineering background. That doesn't mean I'm a scientist, but
it's close enough, man. Oh yeah, that's oh great, we found the flaw in the show. Wow. This is not really a critique show, you know? I mean, this is just a dialogue. So what's your opinion on that? Would you hurt even though you know completely it's code? Would you hurt a code? A sentient code?
I don't know. I don't know if I will. I can't really answer that question truthfully, because
that's a key word, bro.
Because I can't honestly know what I would do. Man. Because like you said, it's in the game, it's code, blah blah blah. It's not technically alive. No one will be hurt by my actions, physically hurt. I may be seen as a evildoer like Robert Daly is by his creations.
Wow, I think I would. I mean, because it's already happened, GTA, when we killed the hookers.
That's true.
Wow, this might be an attack on GTA. You heard it here first, people. In the game, there's hookers, and as a kid,
Yeah,
it
but
was the greatest
wouldn't
thing.
it change your mind
If it was a real person.
if you knew that uh, the hooker that you were shooting and taking your money back from was sentient?
Oh man,
Not necessarily an actual person, but they were just alive and felt everything, even though they wouldn't die. Like they say they would become regenerated or whatever, you know. But they felt it. They knew that they were being killed.
I actually think that that question has already been answered for me. I think honestly, I think I would. I mean, I don't like saying it, but I would probably, like do the equivalent of killing a hooker and taking my money back. But let's talk about that for a second. Why did people do that? What? Why? I mean, if I already have a cheat code in for unlimited money, why would I kill the hooker and get my money back? Was it just like a micro thing, like
Yeah, it was. I mean, I think it was just like curiosity always holds
Just
a
curious.
big, I guess, influence on people, and especially if it's in a environment like that where there's no consequences. It's like, oh well,
no consequences.
I'm gonna see what happens.
And that opens up the question. So all that's holding us back from being quote unquote curious is consequences?
I believe so. I think
Wow.
there isn't anything that keeps us good other than the fact that there's going to be repercussions to our actions.
Oh my, that is so uncomfortable. Folks, if you're listening to this, this could very much be you because it is us. There. I mean, it's just jail time or what's it called? Shame. It doesn't have to be jail time. It could just be any sort of repercussion. That's the real thing that's holding us back. It's not that we're good people. It's just that we don't want to be assholes or because of
our innate nature to be liked and to be a evil person or a bad person, or you make dumb decisions, you will not progress in this society. Does that necessarily make us like evil? I don't know.
I think it does.
Like, it doesn't, like, I don't. The definition of like evil was created by us. I mean, like obviously nature. There are like psychopaths and stuff like that don't have empathy or whatever. They don't have. So they don't feel. They don't have emotions
that allows them to do that.
To think about how the other person will feel if I do this. They only hold on to the fact that they feel good from committing murder or stuff like that.
What? So the key seems to be empathy.
Yeah, I guess. Well, yeah, I mean that's our whole understanding of serial killers and psychopaths.
Is empathy like the embodiment of consequences, of having consequences, or that's just separate? That's just being able to feel what others feel, no?
I think so. I think it's different. Yeah.
So that's separate from the consequences. When you phrase it in a consequences manner, it just makes you seem.
I think that's the biological consequences, I guess, version of like us feeling consequences.
As empathy.
Yeah.
Wow.
If you want to phrase it that way, that's kind of a little bit of a stretch, I think, but yeah, you could see it that way.
I could honestly, I kind of alternated while watching the show. Like, all right, man, these are just people. I shouldn't be shook right now. Like when he threw the kid out of the. So what's his name? Let me just introduce the context of this.
Yeah. So the CEO, Robert Daly's friend, his name is
James. No.
Walton. I don't remember.
I think it's James Walton.
His first name. Yeah. James Walton. So he has a son named Tommy, and James Walton was the first character that he brought in and cloned from the DNA of his friend. But the clone says that he wouldn't comply with Robert's commands to be his second in command or his underling until finally Robert saw an opportunity to clone his son Tommy into the game, and he forced him out of the airlock and killed Tommy in front of Walton.
Dad, yeah.
And then that's what broke Walton, and that's why he eventually became compliant.
So he was. But even the computer generator, like even the computer generated version of Walton, felt like bad for his son. But I was saying, why does he feel bad if he knows that's not really his son? Is it because, you know what I mean?
Well, because I mean, I think because even though he knew, or maybe he didn't know. Well, he did. He did know when he was explaining the story, but like maybe he didn't know at the time. So those are two different time frames. But
oh right, because he could have had the revelation that he's a thing later, right after the death.
Yeah. Although I think actually I think Robert Daly probably did tell him that, which is why he wasn't being compliant or whatever. Maybe, I don't know.
Oh yeah.
That's all speculative because they don't really answer that question. But
let's just say he did. I think he did know his son was computer generated.
Yeah. Okay.
Which would open up the question. All right, man, just let him do it. You know, it's not really your son. You know.
Yeah, but I mean, I think you still like this clone still has emotions. He still feels. He still quote unquote loves his son, no matter whether he knows it's a computer generated version, and just I think because it still feels pain, right?
Yeah, it definitely does.
He still feels pain. He still like it still would be hard to see a loved one be killed, whether or not it was real. Like if you were to watch a video of like someone that you love get shot, but it was like fake.
Oh my god!
But it was fake.
Wow! Right? Oh, I just pictured that, man.
But it was fake, right? Wasn't necessarily real.
All right, yeah. If I was ever in that situation, that's the only way to stay sane, right?
Yeah.
To just think about it as it's just a generator, man. It's a graphic, but it's just a generator. It's just
because I think that's another interesting point because like how do they I have no idea how I would react to that situation where I've been brought into this universe and I find out that I'm a copy of myself. How do I reconcile that fact?
Have you had any like proximate experience then, like a dream where you realize you were a dream and something horrible happened? That's probably as close as we can get to it.
Yeah, but I think that's a little different.
Okay, so
so I don't know if a dream is the right comparison, but I guess like you said, it's probably the closest thing we can do.
I don't think I've had a dream.
I've had what's it called? What do they call them? Lucid dreams.
Right.
So when like you said, when you realize that you are dreaming,
it's the same thing, yeah.
Yeah. So I gain control of the dream. I don't always wake up when I do that. Like sometimes I'll just like start doing random things, like I'll start flying or I'll like start just running around or like I don't know.
Are you talking about you as a lucid dreamer?
Yeah. So I'm in the dream. I realize I'm dreaming, and I realize I can do anything.
Wow, you've had that.
Yeah.
Now that you mention it, I was confusing it with sleep paralysis, so that's just why I wasn't responding. But I just realized. So you were able to control your own dream.
Yes. Yeah. It's.
I don't think I've ever had that.
It is a thing. I think it happened on accident once, but then I looked it up after I woke up, and it's called lucid dreaming, and you can sort of train yourself to do that, to realize that you're dreaming, and then control it. And I think and the number one thing when I googled it that people do is fly. And I did. So then the next time I realized that I was dreaming, I flew, and it was awesome.
It was amazing.
Yes.
Wow,
I became Superman for, I don't know, maybe 8 hours, I guess, however long I was asleep.
So, okay, no.
But yeah,
sleep paralysis. So that relates directly to this. So you knew you were awake, but you just couldn't move, and you were still scared. Or you want to tell that story about when you said you were sleeping?
Yeah. So sleep paralysis is completely different from
lucid dreaming.
It's on the other side of the spectrum, I think. So it's.
Oh, that's true. It's like a polar opposite.
It's the point where you are conscious, I guess. So your brain is awake, but like you don't have your motor capabilities yet. So so part of your brain thinks you're still asleep, but part of your brain is awake, and because of that, like you start to get scared because you can't move, you can't really talk or scream or anything, because when you go to sleep, your brain shuts off your motor function, so you don't like flop around in the bed and hurt yourself during the night.
Yeah, protection.
Right. So that counter then it ends up hurting you because of that your fear response kicks in, and you start to a common thing is people hallucinate and start to see dark figures or shadowy figures or things like that. And that's what happened to me, right? I was sleeping and then I thought I was awake. I thought my eyes were open, but I couldn't move. I couldn't physically move. And I was trying to move, and then I saw this shadowy figure came over, tried to grab me, and I tried to scream, but I couldn't scream.
And you knew you were dreaming?
I didn't know at the time. I thought it was real.
Oh.
I thought it was real at the time.
But you knew you couldn't move.
I knew I couldn't move. I mean, I had no idea what sleep paralysis was at that time.
Oh, so you just thought it... Oh, you thought you were really...
I thought I was really seeing this.
But you thought you really couldn't move.
Right. I thought this figure or whatever was controlling me and was stopping me from moving. I didn't know the definition of sleep paralysis, and I looked it up after, because I was scared and stuff.
Yeah.
And I found this sleep paralysis definition.
Oh, I thought that would relate better, because I was gonna ask you if you knew you were dreaming, just like James Walton, just like he could have told himself, I know it's not real. You maybe could have told yourself, I know it's not real. But if you didn't know about sleep paralysis at the moment, then...
Well, I've had sleep paralysis since then, and it's not... and I've known what it is. It's still just as terrifying.
It's still?
Yeah.
Even though you know?
Even though I know it's not it. It's not a real thing, and I'm gonna wake up from it. It's still just as terrifying. As that first time.
What sort of is it always the same black figure, dark?
Yeah, I mean it's always just a dark outline. I guess so. Typically, from what I googled, typically people only have this at least once or twice in their lifetime.
Oh man.
I had it twice before this year. This year I've had it multiple times.
Oh no.
In very small spurts. I'll have it 2 or 3 times in a night. I'll go to sleep and I'll just wake up, trying to scream or whatever, scared. And
wow, and this is your house?
Yeah, this is in my apartment. Yeah, and
how's your setup? Is you by yourself in your room?
Yeah, it's just me in my room. I close my door and everything.
My God. You have roommates, right?
Yeah, I got one roommate. So it's even though, like I said, even though I know that it definitely more than likely is just because just sleep paralysis or whatever.
What? I was gonna say.
I still get scared, right? So
do you think you're getting scared because of just the sheer vision of it, it looks scary, or is it because there's, even though you think your sleep paralysis, in the back of your mind there's whoa, this is actually happening right now?
I don't know. I think it's a combination of the biological response probably. That I go into shock and in fear mode, I guess, protection mode, and I try to run away or try to get away from this thing because I am afraid. I mean, I don't think I would ever have the response where oh, you again.
Yeah.
Fuck off. Let me go to sleep.
I've actually we're getting away from the from the show now, but I actually saw a movie. It was called Gerald's Game. It's also on Netflix.
And, I've seen this movie.
You've seen it?
Yeah.
So what's it called? What's it called? The Grave Digger.
The Grave Digger.
The guy who was standing in the corner.
Oh yeah.
So the girl in this movie, or if you haven't seen Gerald, should I explain all of it?
We'll just do a quick
So basically, Gerald's Game is about a failing marriage. Pretty much, they lost their libido, so to speak, and they go on a retreat to their vacation home to an elder couple, and so it turns out that the husband he wants sort of a rape fantasy, right, to spice up. That's the only thing that'll get him hard, and he's also taking some Viagra.
Mm-hmm.
So he straps up his wife on the bed, and he has a heart attack. He has a heart attack while he's trying to save his sex life, and he pretty much dies on the floor. And so the woman is stuck on the bed, and while she's dreaming, there was a dark figure, much like Angel described, and she actually knew in the movie, anyways, that it was a fake thing. So
yeah. She like
pretty much
she's like chained up. She stays chained up because her husband died. He's at the foot of the bed. She has no way of escaping. So she's trying to get away, and she starts hallucinating because she hasn't eaten in days. She's thirsty. She hasn't drank water.
Oh yeah.
Well, actually, I don't even know if it had been days. That timeline is.
I think it was like day and a half.
Yeah. So like her lips are dry. She's thirsty. She's hungry. Blah blah. She's like, and because her arms are tied up in the air, she's like, her circulation is kind of off a little bit.
Oh yeah.
So like she starts to hallucinate stuff and have dreams, and then she just assumes everything is a hallucination.
Yeah, keyword being assumes. So that would be the response that I pretty much just asked Angel, that he would never have that response. He would always pretty much be like, I'm about to die right now, and that seems very logical to me. I mean, why assume it's fake? If the consequences for it, what's that called? Like
because the way I think the difference here is that my interactions with I guess sleep paralysis are quick, right? I don't have time to come to the realization that I'm not in.
So you snap out of it.
That I'm not in reality anymore, right? That it's not real.
You wake up, like you start moving.
I wake up faster than I have time to realize that I'm hallucinating. Whereas she was in there for a day and a half, so she like consciously starts to beginning to think that I'm just
going
through some crazy stuff right now. I can't take anything. I have to take everything I see with a grain of salt.
I'm gonna try to get this back to the show, because so he would still basically, the whole reason for that diatribe was trying to rationalize why James Walton, why he was so passionate about keeping the son alive even though he knew it was fake. And we basically said that, man, it's a simple person, man. If he sees it,
yeah,
you're gonna have a reaction. You're gonna have visceral, what's that word? Visceral reaction to it, even though you might know it's fake. So let's talk about the main guy now. Is he an evil dude or not?
I think there's two parts to it. So like I think he's been wronged, right?
That's true.
He hasn't been treated as a valued member of the company, even though, again,
or of society in general.
Or yeah, you're right, of society, even though he was the creator of the company.
Super
Without
smart.
him, there is no company for James Walton to run. So, but then he as a result of how he was treated, I'm assuming throughout his his college career, high school, blah blah, up until where he became the chief technical officer, he becomes a secluded person, and becomes creepy in a way, right?
Super creepy.
Because he's like the new employee in the net. He just like won't stop looking at her. He's continually staring at her, and then as soon as he realizes that she's not gonna be interested in him,
it's a complete 180 on her.
Yeah, he then becomes
resentful,
and then tries to go, gets her DNA and puts her in the game.
But he just goes from 0 to 100,
Yeah, and because of another character who
pretty much stuns him the entire time, right?
Yeah, who was also put in the game, who was also cloned, to the game because she pointed out that he was being creepy and staring at her.
So the office knows that he's kind of like just. What's it called? What's the word? Like, would be like sexually frustrated, or just like.
Well, he's like. I think he's sexually frustrated. He's socially awkward.
All the things that you would put in this like archetype character. He's definitely the person, and so he has power, but he has virtual power.
Yeah, and you even see it in his in the end when they're trying to like escape from the world. The clones are trying to escape from the world. And she's distracting him by going, she takes off her dress, she goes in the water, and then he's like hesitant to go in the water Even though he is in power, he is the captain.
Even though he is the god,
he still feels socially awkward around women.
All right, this is a key point. You are who you are. Even if you're God, you're still gonna be who you are.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, he still feels socially.
You have to work on who you are. You can't make fake fantasies and think that you're gonna be okay. You literally just have to change yourself. I'm literally sounding sentences right now, but you have to. You can't be like that, dude. You can't. I mean, he was God, and he was an asshole to the people in his universe.
Right. He built an escape, right, for himself, and because he realized that no one was ever gonna see it. This is just him.
Wow.
He let his imagination go, but he remained himself. I guess, like I said,
he retained his flaws. He wasn't God.
Yeah.
He just had power, but he wasn't God. Well, religion is what it is. I don't know about omnipotence, benevolence, but he was an imperfect God, and he paid the consequences for it. Which this was I would say I was kind of surprised that it didn't end on a sour note or like a bittersweet note, as every single episode previous to this.
Right. Yeah, because it ends with it
ends in a heavy.
With all the clones escaping, and then it ends with all the clones escaping. Daily gets trapped in his own universe that he made, and he can't leave because so they escape through a wormhole that gets opened up because the actual company is releasing an update patch, and the update gets translated over to the game world as a wormhole.
Yeah.
And so they end up going through the wormhole, and because they did this, the firewall that is built around this game detects this modification or modded universe and treats it as rogue coding, and then it begins to delete it. And then as it begins to delete it, it disables the controls of the players in the game, and then he can't leave the game. He becomes stuck because you have to physically, I guess not physically, but virtually your mind enters the game, because when you enter the game you lose physical control of your body. You're fully immersed in this virtual reality.
I was gonna ask, so did you catch the end? So the world started deleting around him, like the universe. So it deleted him as well. So he's in space. He's just in blackness right now.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he became deleted or if
the universe around him,
or if they deleted his mind. That's a very I don't know how to answer that. It's weird. I would have to understand the technology more, because then but what does that mean, right? Does that mean that if I went up to him and I turned off the game for him, if somebody showed up to his apartment, turned off the game, would he come back?
Yeah, I think he will, because I think that it's separated from his. I think it's all in his mind, unless the circuits is somehow interplaying.
Yeah, because I don't know if I don't know how it does it. Does it fully? I guess it wouldn't do that. It wouldn't download your consciousness into the game for a time some random time frame.
For all intents and purposes, he is seeing black, right?
Definitely. Yeah. He's stuck in the game. He can't get out.
He's in the abyss.
Yeah, so he's still.
I think he did become the leader personally. I mean, I have no thing to back it up, but I think literally he's seeing black right now. Like right now, he's still black.
But he's conscious, or is he dead?
I think he's conscious. I think he's conscious that he's sitting in his chair. Dude, he's in sleep paralysis, except that he can't see. He's just in blackness.
Well, yeah, he's
in the abyss.
His clone body is physically there. Maybe it's not physically
there? No, it's not physically there. I think literally anything to do with the game is gone. It's just black, or whatever the abyss is. I don't know what the abyss is, but I think he's so conscious that I'm in my chair. I'm just in blackness. I deleted myself. I played myself.
Yeah, he can't. Because I get you. He can't move. He doesn't have a physical existence in the game anymore. He's just his mind is just trapped in a forever sleep state, I guess.
His brain is still interacting with just the hardware by itself, no longer.
Yeah. So he's in permanent, I guess, like you said, permanent sleep paralysis.
Wow. See, we found a way to relate this. Isn't that amazing? I knew that was a good correlation. Oh my God! All right, so going back, so you would say he's not evil, or you were just explaining, you were giving him his credit. He was treated bad by the world.
Yeah, you know? And then
I think he very much was. I think that, but that doesn't give you a right.
No, he is definitely, I guess, a bad guy because of how he treated his underlings in the game, his people.
Just because he had power over them.
Yeah, like
relates to the.
If he realized that he had that power in the real world and he wasn't this like socially awkward person, he would have seized that power just like his friend the CEO did. When he comes in and yells at him and telling him, "Hey, we got to release this update. Why the hell did you like approve changes to make it delayed by another week or whatever?" I think he would still have that. He would be this, you know, power hungry person, this bully, I guess, in the real world. But because of his social awkwardness and how he interacts with the real world, he doesn't have the opportunity to showcase his power. So he's an enigma. You can't really know how people are, right? When they're alone and what their thoughts are because you're not with them.
Wow, you know that in in Castellanos, it was my elementary school. There was a poster in the library, and it sticks with me. And it's like it was just a picture of an eye, and it said, "You are who you are when no one's looking." And I'm like, yeah, no one's looking at him, and he has power, and that's who he is. He's a monster. But going back to the very beginning, he's not an all the way monster. Because if he was an all like completely bad guy, like I said, he would have gone all out.
Yeah.
You know, there was limits to his evilness, so to speak. You know, cause
he still had a moral compass, and it's just if he was relieved of his social like awkwardness, I think in the world he would have been like a bully, but he would not have been like, you know, like a killer,
like sadistic,
sadistic about it. He would have, you know, held himself back because I think he did have a moral compass, but because of, again, there was no consequences in this world that he created for himself. He was free to do as he wished, and like you said, he still, you know, kept it PG. You know.
Yeah, I wonder if that was. I wonder if they wanted to just make the character that way, or if they didn't want to get super dark in the show itself. What do you think on that? Why do you think they kept the PG? Do you think they genuinely wanted him to have a moral compass, or they wanted him to remain like morally ambiguous, or if they just wanted to save themselves from portraying like the darkest things that humans can show?
No, I don't think it was they wanted to. They were holding back on what he could do.
Has there been other episodes that were like really dark?
I don't think there's
a need.
There's a need for that.
Alright, we're just gonna keep going
because it doesn't really feed into this this episode, as like all the episodes are, you know, self-standing. They don't. Yeah, so I don't think that Netflix was holding back from its content. I think they've done like worse shows. They've shown other shows that do worse. I think they were definitely trying to portray this person as someone that a lot of people could relate to.
Right.
But then, you know, you question yourself of like, do I feel bad for him or do I not? Do I hate him? I don't know how to feel for him. You know, at certain points of in the show, in the episode, you feel bad, and at certain points you're like, hell yeah, fuck that guy.
Do you think it like oscillated, or it just kind of was good and then bad? I think it was straight up good and bad. I don't think he ever recovered.
Yeah, I don't think you ever saw his character
rebound,
recover, and become this helpless
quote
person
unquote
again.
Good again. Yeah, he was supposedly helpless.
He's you see him helpless for like maybe maybe the first 15 minutes of the episode, 15-20 minutes, and then you actually start to see his true colors, and he is this monster, right? But again, you feel do you feel bad for him? Do you not feel bad for him because of his social awkwardness? Does the social awkwardness then lead to him being a monster? I don't think so. I think he is a monster. His genetics make him socially awkward.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of people socially awkward. I'm socially awkward, self-admitted. I mean, given my history, going back to killing hookers, I don't know. I mean, it's really uncomfortable, like, to think about yourself being evil, but I think it's important to do it. We all have capacity for evil. That's a fact. If you just lie to yourself, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do anything like that. I think we all could. We all very much could, and it's healthy to think about it. Think. I just turned into Drake.
Yeah,
to think about it.
Keeps you keep yourself in check and just realize, wow, would I really do that?
Man,
it's quite possible.
Very much. All right, and that's about it for this.
There's one more thing I wanted to
get to. Go ahead.
Talk about is like the fear that, like, I guess I want to go back to the clones and them being self-aware.
Okay.
Like, that's
a fun place to play.
It was just like really weird to me, like how to think of these people, like
how they rationalize themselves, or
how they rationalize themselves, how they like viewed themselves as real people, even knowing that they weren't real people, and then like wanting to be free and being afraid, and then having a fear of death while going into the wormhole, and like why, like
no, I'll answer this actually. They were never afraid of death because they tried killing themselves. What they were afraid of was just straight up just the pain of dealing with pain before you go to death. They very much wanted to stop existing. I think they talked about it. They said that they tried killing themselves, but they just couldn't. But this brings up the thing that, like, you could say that they're real people because we're in the same predicament.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we don't want to get into the whole simulation theory, but our only way to get out of this eternal pain is to kill ourselves. And we're blessed. Well, we don't know what's on their side, but quote unquote, we're blessed being able to die, because we're able to stop the pain. And so these characters, you could picture them as just regular people dealing with a god who's, what's going on with this guy,
Mm-hmm.
Their god is like our god. No, it's not, because we've never seen ours, but you could just say like the injustices in the world, and they were. It's funny that they immediately chose to kill themselves.
Yeah, I mean, that's the only way they knew how to get away from him, and that would actually work because of his his power that he held. But it was just, I don't know, it was just really, really, really weird to me that like these beings or these lines of code could actually do it.
Oh, just like the sheer like technological advancement of it.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm always on the fence of AI. Yeah. Like, AI can exist, it's real, but I don't ever think there's gonna be possible for something like this to ever happen, where you have sentient robots, much less sentient digital copies of people.
Yeah, I'm very much on the other side of Angel on this one. I think it's actually inevitable. I have barely know anything about it, but it's just like the pessimist in me that's like, it could, in a way, it could be an optimist as well. Yeah. I think there will be a point where we're gonna pretty much become
where technology
gods.
blurs that line.
And
yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just because I don't see the technology right now. As far as AI technology has gone, I don't see it getting there anytime soon. If it does happen, it probably will take a couple hundred years before we even hit that barrier, or
Yeah, I was listening to the Brilliant Idiot, or no, it wasn't Brilliant. It was a Joe Budden podcast, and they were talking about, hey man, what are we gonna do if the AI comes, right? And he's like, yo, if it's the AI, we could just get the magnets out.
Right.
Get the magnets out or whatever. What do you think? What do you think will be first, aliens or AI on Earth? Because
I don't know. I think we'll more than likely first do an AI interaction
we're closer to that
because we're much closer to that and we have more control over that versus us having an interaction with a alien extraterrestrial or whatever, because I mean this planet's been around for was it, I don't know,
4.6 billion years, and we've
right.
been on it since for like 12,000. That's like the consensus, even though there's been like there's been evidence that we're way before that.
Yeah, we've been that there's some evidence that's contradicts that and says that we've been around for like 60 to 100,000 years. That humanity has been
and
around.
Like advanced, right? Not just nomads or whatever. Yeah. I think there's evidence for that, and but yeah, for the purpose of this, you're saying that it's been too much time and nothing has came.
Right, and I think the time frame for us to creating a conscious AI is much smaller.
Yeah, our biggest limitation is what is our lifetime, 100 years.
Yeah, our understanding of physics and computer physics right now is not at that level where we can create a conscious artificial intelligence. We can make a very, very, very smart artificial intelligence, but I don't think
follow logic.
It follows logic. We don't have the capability of,
add emotion,
adding sentience, adding self-awareness.
Is emotion the opposite of logic, or what is the void of logic?
I don't know. I think, well, yeah, I guess so. It could be our ability to
distort logic.
To create arguments for yes versus no, and to have gray areas and.
Oh, it's interesting you say that. So logic, it's just zeros and ones, right?
Right. There's always going to be. That's why I hesitate to say artificial intelligence can become self-aware. It's because there's always going to be a decision versus another, and they're gonna have to calculate that somehow. They're not gonna be able to
get above that.
Make a decision based on emotions or anything like that. They're gonna make decisions based on past occurrences and probabilities. Yeah. But then again, you can argue that that's what we do.
We do that.
But again, like you said, the added aspect of emotions keeps us
completely different layer.
Whatever we have, come to call human.
It's just what separates us is the consciousness, being self-aware.
Yeah, understanding our existence, understanding that there is an end to us, understanding that there was a beginning, understanding that.
I was just thinking, so we do that, like we have to teach ourselves, like, a lot of times we're like, oh man, we're so superior. But it takes work to get to being quote unquote superior, because you have to teach. First of all, we carry our kids for like 9 months. They come out not being able to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
They're so dependent on parents, and it takes all of that work. And slowly we have to start teaching them, hey man, we're not really sure what's going on. We have to teach them math. We have to teach them reading. It is incredible. We have a whole system. If aliens are listening to this, we have a whole system called school to teach kids about what we think is going on, and it takes so much work to create a decent human being. And that's why Robert what is his name, that's why there's so many of us that are so lost, so awkward. Some people are evil because none of us know.
Yeah, not all of us fit into that educational system well. Not all of us respond to it well, and because it's difficult to tailor the way you teach subjects or teach whatever you're teaching to everyone, because everyone is different. It becomes difficult, and that's why you have, like you said, resulting individuals such as Robert Daly, who creates a world where he is an omnipotent person and develops sentient code that eventually betrays him. And
that's really what it is. It betrays him
and kills him.
Are you looking at do you still play video games?
Not really, no.
Alright, if you could go back, would you see video games as different now? Like, not even see them differently, but like just think about it. Like, whoa, dude.
No, I don't think so. I think it would still just be like I'm playing this video game because
Not real.
I'm bored or because I think it's cool and looks cool and this is a great like idea or concept of a world that the video game company has created and I want to experience it.
Wow, this thing has so many layers. So yeah, the layer we're talking about right now is giving like sentient being qualities to things we normally think do not have, and this just relates to a Twilight Zone episode that I just remembered right now, where basically it was called Four Characters in Search of an Exit.
Mm-hmm.
If you know what I'm talking about, it's amazing. Oh, I'm not gonna give it away. Never mind.
Yeah,
I was about to give it away.
Pull back.
Alright, we're about reaching an hour here, and we would just like to thank you for taking time out of your day, and podcasts, in my opinion, just like keeping your mind busy, or like just very much like not like Robert, but
staying occupied, keeping the dialogue going. And
yeah, trying to
letting your thoughts flow.
Yeah, just a little mental jogging, so to speak. We hope we've
we sparked something in you, and
yeah,
hope you come back to
this
listen to our
this is our very
rantings.
first episode. Very first episode here, and we thank you for listening to the Winding Road Podcast. Thank you. Until next time.
Peace out, homie.